got no birthdays this week, but I've got a few anniversaries. So I've got Matt Muchamore celebrating his 5 years. That's on the 27th of the 6th. Adam Harrell, so he is 5 years with the business, so that's on the 2nd of the 7th. Jesse Green, we've got 8 years on the 22nd of the 6th. Neil Pratt, we have 4 years on the 27th of the 6th. Sam Brown will be 4 years on the 27th of the 6th. Seb Dukas will be 4 years on the 27th of the 6th. Ty and Will be 3 years on the 28th of the 6th. So congratulations to all those guys.
Must be a good time of the year to employ people.
And then just following that, just got some positive recognition. So this is for Michael Corrales. Just big thanks as well to Mikey. He's really good at sending emails through to the guys here with issues that they find on site, which obviously lead to variations. So it helps us in the depot with smooth transition of getting those variations approved with the details from his emails. It's not something new from Mikey. He does this a fair bit. It really helps us in the depot. So yeah, big thanks to Mikey, and just to top it off, through those emails, he's assisted us with an additional $44,000 worth of variations so far. So it just shows you a little bit extra effort in the field. Send us something through, we can capture a lot more. Yeah, well, it'd be nice if we could, but yeah. So thanks to Mikey for that. I'll kick over to the switching mentors.
So no incidences or near misses this week. I keep on reporting. 264 days since the last incident, and I've got a switching bulletin here that is just about the model dress items, and it's still a trial for field crews to be executing them. The depots in the trial are Barmah, Kadina, Yorktown, Walkervale, and Holden Hill. That's been extended to August. So yeah, field crews, you guys should not be doing those model dress items. You shouldn't be us. And also it was raised about the limits of operating with a telescopic switching stick. So I've got a printout here of what you can and cannot operate with it. So we'll just pass that around and you guys can have a look and get yourself up to date on that. It's all pretty straightforward what you can. You can pretty much open anything, just don't close the thing. If you're closing with a telescopic, you've done wrong. And that's it for me.
All good, thanks Chris. I don't have any DS incidents or near misses hazards to report on, but like we always say, just keep up the reporting. Anything you think needs to be reported, report it, and we can discuss and have chats about it in here. All right. Go through. I've got some safety alerts and events. So there's a fair few to get through this week. So I've got safety alert 1382. So this is fall from a pole trailer. So this one, Reese, I think has got this one.
So on the 12th of June, a worker was securing a pole trailer in wet conditions. They slipped and fell, landing on their side on the ground. So they had 1 foot on the A-frame, 1 foot on the trailer, doing up the binder, wet conditions. The binder let go a bit and they fell on their side. So sustained injury to their shoulder and getting further assessment done. So make sure we're being mindful of the conditions that we're doing stuff in. Slip, strips and falls, pretty easy to do every day. So just be vigilant in that area.
Yeah, keep going.
Got another reverse hit incident. So Thursday, 6th of June, crews were arriving at a job site, and while manoeuvring an EWP truck in a position, it reversed into a light vehicle. So the truck pulled in, leaving a gap behind them. Another worker in a hire car has pulled in behind, and the truck didn't see them, proceeded to reverse and took out the front corner of this hire car. So just make sure that we're using all our aids to assist us in reversing, cameras, jump out the truck if you're a passenger, and make sure there's nothing behind so we don't have any more incidents like this which are easily avoided.
Cool, thanks Reese. I've got another safety alert, 1384, so this one's TX steel column failure, so this was a red one, this one was Brian.
Yep, so on the Transgrid BESS connection project in New South Wales, there was an incident, it's a red alert actually, on Saturday 15th of this month. So they were levelling steel columns, which looks to be inside the substation, for a transformer firewall. And the crew were having difficulty returning the column to plumb, so it's bolted to the ground, sticking up in the air, they're trying to get it all level. They decided to use a telehandler with forklift attachment to try and straighten the column. And whilst pushing it, they've actually pushed it past the centre of gravity, and they've lost control of the column and it's fallen to the ground. While it's fallen, it's ripped out the bolts in the ground that were there to bolt it down and hold it, and also it's narrowed against the worker who's actually had to move out of the way. So impact, there was no injury sustained to any of the parties. The column damaged a component of an independent earth switch when it fell down. Immediate action, so work was stopped and assessed further hazards and made safe. The client, Transgrid, the regulator and Safe Work New South Wales were notified of the incident, and an investigation has commenced to determine the root cause. Work was ceased on the 20th of June for a pause for safety session with the team to have a discussion, see about more things and get their head back into it, think about safety and other things that could go wrong. Some of the key points, so when work scope changes, work must stop so that there is a hazard assessment can be taken out. So things change on site, stop, pause, have a look at what we're doing. Alright, things change, new hazards now, see what we can see, and avoid an incident ourselves. Ensure exclusion zones are in place whenever there's a risk of falling objects present. And on that site, there's now no adjustments of steel columns on the project to occur until the investigation is complete. That's it.
Cool, thanks, Brian. Got a something different. So this one is to do with the changes in regulations. So changes to do with regulated and significant trees. So Tonks has got this one.
Changes to the definition of regulated and significant trees. As of the 16th of May 2024, the definition of both regulation and significant tree has been redefined. Regulated trees are now trees with a circumference of 1 metre or more when measured 1 metre above the ground, and that was previously 2 metres. And significant trees are trees with a circumference of 2 metres or more when measured 1 metre above the ground, which was previously 3 metres. Ensure that further guidance is sought prior to any of the following impacts on significant or regulated trees. So that's tree removal, killing or destruction, branch or limb lopping, rim barking or topping, and any substantial damage, including to its root system.
Cool, thanks, Tonks. Personal protective clothing updates, Eddie.
So this is just an update on the personal protective clothing. So the purpose is to progress the transition of the new long long, the requirements to wear the new PPC, the condition of replacement. So just a quick one, over 900 employees have been fitted as part of the transition with over 1,500 items now delivered, and it is expected that it'll be here mid this year. See how that goes. So the requirements: when new long PPC is received, it is a mandatory requirement to wear it, and it shall be worn for the duration of the shift and fastened at the base of the neck and wrists. For high risk work, it comes down to a risk assessment to have them tucked in, basically. So there is a replacement and condition policy. High visibility short sleeve shirts and shorts are no longer available to order. All employees are encouraged to dispose of redundant PPC via the recycling process in place for SA Power Networks and Enerven. There is a link here which that should be accessible on the hub. It is important that long PPC is maintained in good condition and replaced as necessary. Faded, torn or permanently stained PPC should be thrown out. To assist, PPC can be ordered on a as needed basis. So there is also a picture thing here to hand around that shows tucked in and untucked. So it comes down to a risk assessment. If you deem it necessary to tuck it in, tuck it in. If not,
Just on that step, there is certain tasks that must
Yes.
be tucked in
So
for,
it's-
like any light work or switching, and I believe any hot work, and there's a couple other examples on there. Not working
Yeah,
for
so I was
everyone.
going to touch base on it. So switching, you can't have anything that's non-fire retardant exposed. So any hoods, long sleeve shirts, or anything that is not fire retardant can't be left hanging out. And again, like Cam said, it can't be dangling around when you're doing live work. It has to be tucked in and fastened.
I think also it says, I don't know if anyone here does electric switching, but I don't think our PPC is affirmed for electric switching. You still have to wear overalls at this stage.
That is correct.
Correct.
Thanks, Debbie. Last one, we've got approved knives in SA Power Network.
Alright, this one's me. So there's been evidence of good PPE culture with knives in SA Power Network Centerville. The 10 reported incidents in 2023, everyone had gloves on. So everybody is wearing their gloves, it's fantastic. But this is just a follow-up. So some simple safety tips for using knives at work. So select the appropriate gloves. We've got multiple sets of gloves out there. We went through it at a previous toolbox with different thickness for knives. Choose the correct tool. So before reaching for a knife, check to see if there's a stripper or something that can do it a bit better, a bit safer. Right knife for the task. Keep knives sharp, so if you're using boot makers, keep them sharp. If you need the stone or anything like that, let the stormer know you'll order one. Cut away from the bodies, that's pretty important, that's how we had our last incident. Store it safely, so when not in use, put it back in the bag, cover it, keep it clean, keep it sharp. Locking blades, so never put pressure on the back of the locking blade, it could slam shut. And should a specific knife not be listed in the work instruction, that's 3029. Job hazard sheet risk assessment must be conducted and approved from a leader. So, yeah, any questions, come and see me, but keep doing what you're doing and try to avoid accidents where possible.
Thanks, Justin. Alright, move on to some general depot stuff now. So, just a reminder to everyone that mobile phone cameras are now live in the state. There is a couple of months grace period, but again, we shouldn't be doing it, but let's act like they're live now. Yeah, apparently there's one just out here somewhere. So again, we shouldn't be using mobile phones while driving any sort of plant or vehicles. But yeah, we're not going to be leaning on that grace period. We should be acting on it right now. Just to date, apparently over 1 day of these cameras being online, their potential revenue was over $500,000. So they are catching people, and they're going to be red hot on it. The potential fines, this has got 560 here, but I've heard it's actually a lot more than that. It's over $600 plus 3 demerit points. So no one wants to be on the tail end of that. It's going to take a huge chunk of your paycheck away. So, and I dare say there'd be more repercussions to come through the business as well. So just everyone keep that in mind now. Something to do with the business but outside, so this is a bit of a good news story. So Callum Tonkin, sounds like he's a bit of a superstar on the footy field. You here?
Not here.
Nah, cool. So I'll just read through, I think this must have been in one of the local papers. So superstar ruckman for the GSFL and SA Country Footy. So Tonkin has had one of the best encounter-based seasons so far in 2024. The Tools tap work consistently gives his midfielders first look at the footy, and his ability to take strong marks around the ground and find teammates efficiently makes him an extremely valuable asset. Has 9 best player appearances in 9, so sounds pretty good. Sounds like he might be lining up for the Crows or Port Adelaide pretty soon.
For sure.
Just to add, he's currently rated number 3 in the league, two above Bryce Gibbs, if that puts him in perspective. So.
This might be end up in his second career, so. So that's good news for Callum. Just going to touch on drop zones around work positions. It's been picked up again that we're just not doing it, guys. You know, we've had countless managers come out to site and there hasn't been a drop zone set up around the base of the bowl. It has to be there. You know, we've had issues with people from the public just walking into job sites. I know, you know, traffic control's out there and we do lean on them for that a fair bit, but they're obviously not doing it. We need to set up exclusion zones and make sure that no one's walking into our drop zones or work zone in particular, alright? at least, you know, we've got those barricades set up. It sort of takes a bit of the pressure off of people having to monitor public coming into our work zone. So moving forward, it's a must. Obviously, you're going to have areas where, you know, you're out in the country in a paddock or something like that. I think it's still a good idea for us to have an area set up so that we can visually see that there's a drop zone there. But yeah, for a public build-up area, it's a must. We must have a drop zone set up. I think Red T's in the process of organising some black and yellow bollard sort of.
Some sort of physical barricade
Yeah.
to go between the cones, whether it's those black and yellow telltales that sit on top of your cones or something on a retractable reel. Working with Damien through that. But for now, delineate your drop zone with your cones, have someone manage that space, and we'll work on getting physical barriers to stop those members of the public that are going to waltz through no matter what, walking in our work zone and underneath our people loft.
So, you know, and that needs to be reported in our hazard IDs as well. You know, we're going to have people coming in and off site. We need to have that documented so that anyone we induct in on site, we can have that noted there. We can show them the drop zones. We can delineate everything, and everyone on site is aware that, you know, that's a no-go zone while work is happening above. All right, Nick's got a bit of a run through on the standard there, so we'll run through that.
So Josh has pretty much touched on it pretty well there, but yeah, this is straight out of the book, so we'll get the information out of here. So generally, work aloft is to cease prior to entry into the drop zone by a worker. However, it is understood that workers may be required to assist workers aloft to complete tasks.
Exemption?
In a situation where it is not practical for workers to remain outside the perimeter of a drop zone, so for example, over under earthing, a risk assessment including the following must be completed by a team leader in consultation with the workers prior to accessing the area. The risk associated with the activity of workers aloft, i.e. the potential of dropping objects and the heights of the work, the impact and timing of the tasks that the drop zone is being assessed for, positive control of tools, equipment and materials for the duration, verbal notice to be provided when dropping handlines and low risk items. Communication must be maintained between workers on the ground and workers aloft or equipment operators for the duration of the access. If the risk assessment considers it to be safe accessing the drop zone, the workers may enter only after ensuring the workers aloft are aware of the entry and the appropriate PPE is worn. That's pretty much it. So the biggest thing out of that, like Josh said, cover it off in our risk assessments, make sure we're going through these risks and making sure we're safe to go in there and carry out our work. Plenty of communication, we should be alright. That's it, mate.
Thanks, Nick. Just to follow on from that, we've made up a bit of a site briefing consistency and standards that I'm going to get laminated and hand out to basically every foray to have in the truck. So if you're unsure, you know, you get someone coming out where you know you've got to have a visitor that day. Might pay just to run yourself through all these points again and make sure we're covering it all off. All right, so I'm going to read through each step. There's about six things we're going to go through. So first one, crews and external contractors are to attend a site briefing with no possible distractions. So these include all devices to be on silent, e.g. phones, tough pads and tablets. 2, scope of the work to be explained to the crews and external contractors on site, covering all potential risks and hazards involved in the day's work, including, but not limited to, the following. Designating jobs to allocated crews and detailing any risks or hazards that may be present in these works, explaining gear and hardware required at work locations, introduction of the external contractors on site, so that could be traffic control people, your crane hire, your electricians and so on. Basically anyone we know that's going to be on site that day, they're all to come to this sort of meeting and introduced to the work parties. Job site location, so traffic restrictions, paddock access, rural, other hazards, drop zones, we just went through with Nick. Work site leader to be clearly nominated and identified to everyone on site, including external contractors, and communicate. So this is to be communicated at all times. A brief key site detail table on page 1 of the folder. So run through the hazards that are on the back of the folder that we discussed during the site briefing. Brief any high risk work steps and potential risk controls relevant to the work on pages 3, 4 and 5 of the job folder. Brief all additional site specific hazards not related to the work steps. Alright, is that pretty clear? So external contractors to be encouraged to discuss any additional hazards or risks they feel are present on site. We put that in there, just they could see something that's, you know, lines up with their line of work that we probably don't focus on in our day-to-day stuff. And that's the whole idea of having them there. They can bring that to the table and you can all have a bit of a discussion about it. So 3, all personnel involved in the site briefing asked to sign on to the job folder, including all external contractors. So that's everyone on site needs to sign on to our folder, and that may in turn mean you need to sign on to theirs, alright? Number 4, so site leader to request to see a copy of the external contractor's swims, ask for contractor to brief crews on any relevant risks associated with their site and setup, and get all independent personnel to sign on to contractor safety documentation. So again, follows on from 3. 5, site leader to confirm all element and external contractors understand and are aware of all site risks and hazards and all have signed on to the relevant swims and the work site folder. Number 6, site leader to update and brief crews and external contractors of any new risks and hazards throughout the day as they become relevant or appear on site. Site leaders to also brief and induct any site visitor or new worker that may come into the site areas. So that's a pretty important one. We need to make sure, you know, whoever's leading that site needs to be vigilant on any new workers coming in, any site visitors. You know, grab them before they enter the site and run through everything that we've just discussed there, alright? And the last little note, which basically follows on from that, so site leader to advise all visitors, new workers to wait outside the job site in a safe location until they can conduct a site safety brief and the visitors or workers have signed onto all relevant swims and the site folder, alright? So that's probably the most important thing. We shouldn't have any new workers or any new visitors in that site until they've been inducted into the site briefings, alright?
And just on that one, don't feel pressure. I know it can probably sometimes, you know, get a sense of overwhelming depending on who it is that's coming to visit, CEO or whoever. Don't feel pressure to get them in and have a chat with them and show them what's going on sooner than it's safe to do so. They'll all encourage and they'll highly respect if you tell them to go sit across down the road there in front of bloody number 1 whatever street until you've got control of your site and it's safe for you to leave that site and give them an induction, alright? Whether that's 5 minutes or half an hour, whatever it is, you're all empowered to tell them to just sit over there with your hard hat on and I'll come grab you when it's safe for me to do so. And then make sure we are giving them the induction. The induction can be tailored depending on who's coming to site, whether it's myself who might be familiar with you know, risks associated or someone that's got no field background. They may need a more detailed induction and go through the actual hazards and risks than what I may need. So you can tailor it depending on it could be a conversation with the individual, you know, what are you aware of, you know, what are you familiar with? But make sure we are really inducting them and going through the hazards and risks thoroughly. I mean, it's not just a, here, welcome to site, you know, we're changing training today, here's the told to sign on, okay?
So I will print them out and I'll laminate it and I'll get one out for every truck, alright? So there shouldn't be any excuses to what's required once we do that.
Can I ask that suggestion, John?
Yeah.
Before we laminate some down, because it's important that everyone, all rows particularly, are involved. And I'm not sure if everyone's seen that before, they may have.
This is pretty new, I think.
Yeah, so I think it'd be good to get it out there for comment first.
Yep.
And it's no different to what, we've got a similar document for our switching briefs, and like this is the same as the operator and check out on where they're switching. So it's a tool we developed for everyone to go back to and just refresh yourself on what the requirements are. But yeah, I'd like to have 4A's views on that, because we might be missing something, and there might be something that's not quite right.
Is that around? Maybe I'll just photocopy them and I'll hand them out to all the 4As and you can put whatever you want on there, make notes, add stuff, something, you know, I guarantee we've missed something, just add it on there and then we can take that back, change it all, add that new feedback into there, and then once we're all happy and we've got something we all agree on, then we'll laminate and issue them out.
It might be perfect, make sure you tell them to do it, right? Well, who made it? It's a bit of a group effort, wasn't it?
It was a group effort, yeah. I think we could get some 4A 4 A's involved when we initially put it together. Seb might have been a big part of it.
Just one last thing before I hand over to Renzi. So this is just to touch on fleet fuel cards. So obviously there's some stuff happening, people missing, putting your odometer readings on there. So I'll run through this and just make sure we're sort of keeping to these things. So Fleet Management would like to remind all drivers of SA Power Networks and Enemin Fleet vehicles about fuel card requirements for those vehicles. So all vehicles, as a standard, should have a BP and an Ampol fuel card in them. Some regional areas, due to supply, will have a MoGas and a Motor Pass one as well. I think we've only got the Ampol and the BP ones. Do we have access to those other ones if we're going rural? Cool. So a reminder to please enter the correct odometer reading on each fuel fill. It's a vital piece of information for service maintenance records and replacement planning. So you'll also be asked to enter the PIN number each time. If you don't get prompted for either of these, can you please let Kate Shelby know, or probably easier just to let your 8 or your 6 or Renzi know that you haven't been asked to provide those details. Please check cards that you have match the vehicle of the registration, like the vehicle's registration that you're using. So obviously you don't want to be using cards from other vehicles. You're going to be giving false information. Please check these cards are current. Please ensure you enter the correct odometer reading each fill. And there's just a note here to contact Kate Shelby if you've got any other questions, alright? Also last, please note that Ampol cards cannot be used at the Caltex service stations, alright? And there's a bit of a list here if you need to find any service stations, but I think you all know how to use, go find the apps and things like that. So, big thing I think is just the odometer reading, so making sure we're not using another truck's card unless we've had approval from Sam or Renzi for whatever reason. I know we've had issues in the past where guys are working away, or we hire a fleet as well and we need to fill up. I think they're going to be the only 2 times we can do that. Alright, I'm pretty much done. I think we've got a bit of other stuff to go through. Hand over to Renzi.
Just a couple of things, I'll be quick. So we just had a recent customer complaint from crews working on a Sunday, early morning, just with the noise, built up residential area. I think they were working in their driveway. I believe the customer ended up coming out and speaking to our crews. So I'd just like to remind everyone something to be mindful, especially when we're working outside of normal working hours and days, so Saturdays and Sundays, or between the hours of 15:30 and 0700 the following day. Just bear in mind the communication volume and the methods of communication we're using, and just limit it. It's unavoidable at times, I understand that, but yeah, let's not yell to the bloke aloft any more than we need to at 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday. Last thing for me, just an update on recent positions advertised within the depot here. So thanks to all the applicants, everyone that applied for those positions. Running through from the 4As, so successful 4As were Shane, Andre and Mark Richards. So well done to those 3. Along with those 3 being awarded 4A positions internally, we have Ben Wheeler, an external applicant, joining the team July 15th. So Ben's an external applicant, coming on board at 4A, he's got 11-12 years experience, probably half of that experience running crews and multiple crews and large jobs. So he'll be a good addition to the team. TSW 6 position, so Reese was successful with the TSW 6 position, so well done Reese. And along with that, we have Hayden and Matt Munchmore entering 6 months secondments with potential full-time positions on the completion of those. And James Harding has been successful with the St Mary's TSW 8 position. And the other 2 TSW 8 positions, we're working through the interviews. Currently, you probably see a few nervous shakes and twitches from Bill driving around here today. And also, just another update on some new members. I think the Toolbox a while ago, but it's getting closer to when they're going to start. So Harrison Ronaldo. Could be wrong with the pronunciation on that, but he's a first year apprentice beginning with us on the 22nd of July. So he'll spend his first few weeks down at the training centre, and then we'll see him start to mesh in with the rest of the group here. And also Jay Cussey. Jay Cussey's coming as a 3A. Some of you here may know him. He's been working at Angaston Depot for the last 7 or 8 years, so he's really excited to come and join the Anderson team, and he'll provide some good value and bolster the stocks here in the 3A space. So he's due to start on the 30th of July. And that is it from me.
I've got, well, a couple of things I suppose. Just wanted to thank everyone for the culture survey, filling that out. We ended up at about 90%, so that come through yesterday. Had a quick look through it. Obviously we'll work through that and share information with the whole team, but participation rate, fantastic. I reckon the first one was about 36%, so thank you everyone for doing it, and also for the people that were out there promoting others to fill it in, because it's important that we get the right feedback. Appreciate that. The truck, is there, got anything to say about that? Are you having any words, Chad, or are we just going to go out for a photo? So I'm not sure if everyone's noticed, but we've got our new Energy truck out there that's been wrapped as part of the reconciliation action plan. So we're actually going to use the opportunity to get a group photo because everyone's here. So whoever did their hair this morning. But yeah, was there any words going to be said about that? Oh, that's all. Okay. Chad's going to say a few words. Chad's going to say a few words about the outside. So before we all kick off, if I can get everyone to sort of congregate around the truck, hopefully Beck's out there, we'll get a quick group shot and then we'll go let you go.
Run out of memory in the phone.